Well, welcome to this video. In this video, we will be discussing about weak values. So in the previous video, I discussed regarding weak measurements where we had an interaction Hamiltonian. So this interaction Hamiltonian, the form that we saw was of the form of a tensor product with the momentum operator in the device space. So this part was the device or the needle part, and this was the system part. So because of such an interaction Hamiltonian, we saw that for a particular state that was written in the form of an integral over the x eigenkets. For such a state, we saw how this interaction Hamiltonian brings about translations in this x space because of this Hamiltonian structure. And further, it helped in providing an example of biasing the state by performing strong measurements on this device part. So in weak measurement, we disturb the actual system weakly, but in the device part, we perform a strong measurement. So now we will be looking at something related to weak measurements. It is the notion of weak values. So let's see. So nth order weak value corresponding to an observable A. So this is an Hermitian operator. It is given in particularly this form. So this is the omega and this is n. So here this omega is the part that says it's weak, so you can interpret it as the W. So AWN is of this form. Now one of the general question is, how does this weak value arises? So for that, it is necessary to first consider, suppose we have an initial state and we want to look at the probability that this state evolves to a final state F. So the initial state is I here and the final state is F. So F, this final state, is also called the post-selected state. So this probability is the probability of event of detection of this final state. Now suppose this initial state undergoes a small perturbation in the form of, like, we disturb the system by a small amount, so that the initial state actually evolves by this unitary. So you see, so initial state we had was I, and the final state of interest is F. But now if the initial state is evolved by some unitary, it will first undergo that evolution, and then I have to check the probability to get such a state. So the new probability that we are interested in, after taking into care about such a unitary evolution, here epsilon being a small parameter, so this is like a perturbation, so this is the probability of the event detection of the final state F. Now any kind of unitary that takes place in quantum mechanics, so these unitary operators, they can be exponentiated over a Hermitian operator. So corresponding to every unitary, we get a Hermitian operator. This is a form of the Stone's theorem, which proves the existence of such an Hermitian operator A, such that it brings about such a unitary change. Like A can be the spin operators, the Pauli spin matrices, they can be the momentum operators, then the unitary evolution is simply a translation operator, like that. So with this, what we do is we check for such a probability, such a transition probability from I to F. So the mod square of this probability can be expanded in this fashion that I have written here. So like mod z square is zz conjugate, where I have expanded up to epsilon square term because epsilon is a small parameter. So now what we will do is we will take the product of this particular term with this particular term here. So here I have written the terms by expanding them. So there is a product here, the product of this entire expression with this. So now you can see term by term, when we multiply, we will get a 9 set of terms, but we will ignore the higher order contribution and take contribution up to epsilon square. But now you see there is term like this goes with this to give the initial probability of transition, that was this. But we can divide by that entire thing to calculate a relative error in the probability of transition. So this is like an error calculation, and this can be brought into such a form that I have written here. So we see that how much error there is now compared to the initial probability P. So this is the initial probability and this is the final. So this error is completely characterized by all the possible weak values. So what are weak values? Weak values are these quantities that specifically characterizes such an relative error performed on the system because of such an unitary evolution. So this is the notion of weak values. The full Taylor expansion of this quantity, the relative error, is completely characterized by the all weak values of all the possible orders. So here we had this n, which was the order of the weak value. So all the possible order will characterize this transition thing. Now but what most of the time we are interested in is up till the order 1. So we don't want these terms, these higher order terms. So for that we need to work in a particular regime which is called weak interaction regime. So in this regime we have to ensure that this imaginary part of the first order weak value is much larger than all the trailing terms. So that is the interaction regime. Now let's just use this weak value or rather show that how this weak value is generated from the Hamiltonian that we initially considered. So this is the initial Hamiltonian that we had, the interaction Hamiltonian, and this was the device or the needle state. And now what we do is we take the initial state to be I tensor product the device state phi. So this psi in is simply this I. So I is the psi in here. And then we evolve this entire initial state by this Hamiltonian like this. And now we check what is the probability of getting the final state. So this is the post selected state or the final state F. So the final state F when projected will give us the final wave function which is after post selection. So this entire thing is the wave function after post selection. So this is simple to see. But now what we will do is we will substitute the value of H in the form of this tensor product, A tensor momentum over the device part. So once we do that, we can then form a Taylor expansion and ignore the higher order term. So here one thing is important, the Taylor expansion is actually performed in a G. So here the actual Hamiltonian had a G also. So that G was Taylor expanded and the G can be later set to 1 by noticing that the Taylor expanding quantity is the ratio of G by T. So anyway, so with that we perform a Taylor expansion. And then we, so here I have written the Taylor expansion in this line. Now what we can do is, we can see that this Fi state can be taken common outside and the rest of the part that we have. So while performing the Taylor expansion, this psi in is just I, and we have squeezed the psi in inside the bracket that has given rise to these terms. We can take this term out and we can see that the expansion is has this order 1 weak value. So this order 1 weak value that we are seeing, this shows up in this post selected entire wave function. So this is psi post selected wave function. So but now if we are interested in the pointers part or the measurement devices part, we will just ignore this part of the tensor product because this is the final after post selection, and this is the final state of the device after post selection. Now you see, once we have identified this final state, we can now look at something more. That is, what we can do is we can now look at expectation values of quantities after post selection and before post selection. So before post selection we had the state psi x. After post selection we have the state alpha. And now this is the expectation value of quantity after post selection, and this is before post selection. Now this is easy to see that alpha can be written in the terms of phi's, and so mf, this expectation value, will have a term of mi and plus some corrections. So similar to the correction that we are seeing in the probability here, we see that weak value also characterizes the correction in the expectation value on the device part that we generally use in weak value measurement. So here I have written the final part of the expression. So you see the mf and mi, they are related by such a relation. So you can set g equal to 1 here for now. So let's forget about the g. So you see what I have done is I have chosen a particular form of this a1. So this order 1 weak value. So order 1 weak value, if it is of the form of a plus iota b, then if it is of that form, then the final measurement expectations and initial measurement expectation of the operator M is of this form. They are related by such a error. So you see, in the error I have a linear dependence in A and B, and that is a very important point, because you see, if I ask what is the error, what is the final and initial expectation value for the momentum operator and for the position operator, where M, I will substitute M as momentum or position, we see that the position of the needle has a linear dependence on the real part of the weak value. So you see, what is the function of weak value given such an interaction Hamiltonian, what the first order weak value is doing, it is shifting the position of the needle. So we see, we are getting information about the system by this shift of the position by GA amount. So similarly, in the momentum space, it is also shifting by, but it is depending on the variance of the momentum operator. So with this, we see one of the example of use of weak value. And you see, there is one important point, that is, in the case of weak value, we have something of this form, FAI divided by Fi. Now, if the final state or the post-selected state is orthogonal to I or very close to orthogonal, this quantity will blow up. In other words, we see there is an infinite, the weak value, that is A omega 1. This will be of a very large order. So this large order is what sometimes is termed as amplification or weak value amplification. So weak value also helps in providing such amplifications, and it is useful in many other processes. So that's all for this video. It was a brief introduction to the notion of what weak values mean and how they play out in weak measurements. So that's all.